CEO's Thought Leadership Series. And today we have Mr. Suresh KV. Mr. Suresh is the President and Head of Region India for ZF, which is part of the German headquartered ZF Friedrichshafen AG and operating in 27 countries. ZF caters to automotive and industrial market in India through wholly owned subsidiaries and joint ventures. Mr. Suresh is a graduate engineer from REC Calicut, presently NIT Kozhikode, and a PGD-MM from SP Jain Institute of Management, Mumbai. Mr. Suresh started his career with Asian Paints Limited. His rich professional exposure includes stints with Bajaj Auto, Visteon India, and Philips. So pleasure to have you with us, Mr. Suresh, for the next edition of the VDMA CEO's Thought Leadership Series.
Thank you. Thank you, Rajesh.
Yeah. Mr. Suresh, I think the last 5 months to 6 months have been unprecedented. COVID-19 has impacted more than 213 countries. More than 23 million people have been infected, and over 8 lakh people have died due to COVID. Some call it also the black swan of 2020, Mr. Suresh. So let me start with asking you, Mr. Suresh, what has been the impact of COVID on ZF in globally and the Indian operations also, Mr. Suresh?
First and foremost, Rajesh, thanks a lot for giving us this opportunity. It's been a pleasure speaking to you during these difficult times. I think we have learned a lot from each other as we spoke during during the pandemic time. COVID-19 is one of the worst circumstances in which we have been going through. I think it is unprecedented, as you rightly said, and I don't think our generation has gone through such a situation in the past, and I hope no other generations goes through such a situation in the future. However, we are where we are, and it is very important for us to manage and tide through these difficult times with the best of our capabilities and putting in the right measures, making sure that the safety of the employees, of all of the society, and also the economy is also put back on track. Yes, COVID has impacted pretty badly the entire industry, but we need to also understand one thing, that the impact on the various segments have been different. Thanks to the influences which the various macroeconomic factors, the environmental factors have, we have been able to we have been seeing the impact on our different businesses in different ways. When it came to automotive, which is the most which is going through the most difficult times, what you said is right. Both global markets and Indian markets have gone through a very bad rough, and we are seeing that at the global level, anywhere between 20 to 25% drop compared to the previous year. However, we also need to keep in mind that 2019 itself had a drop compared to 2018. Yeah. Coming to 2020 in India, we are going through a similar phase. The volumes have dropped drastically thanks to the lockdowns and the poor sentiments which people had due to the uncertainties related to the future, and especially more so on the employment side. So here also, if you look at the ZF automotive business in the wholly owned subsidiary, we are going through a trough which is approximately 30 to 40% at best. Now, even our joint ventures have a similar situation. Now, again, in the automotive, we also need to divide it between passenger car and the commercial vehicles. The segments or the organizations and the entities which are dependent on the commercial vehicle segment is taking a bigger hit and compared to the passenger car segment. Coming to the recent months, July and August, we can clearly see that the passenger car segment, especially the low class A and the lower end cars, the market is reviving at a faster pace compared to the bigger cars. So the passenger car segments is getting back to normal faster. The commercial vehicles, we are seeing traces of revival. Not there to say that everything is getting at a pace at which we would like to have. So that's where the automotive industry or the impact of the automotive business of ZF. We are also in the industrial segment, as you rightly said. The off-highway segment is doing well thanks to the monsoon, and you can see that the monsoon this year has been very good. Good also because it has not tended towards the floods which used to happen in the last 2 years. So I think this will really boost the Indian economy because the Indian economy, as all know, is more dependent on dependent on agriculture, and then with the monsoon doing well, I'm sure that the economy will revive. So the industrial segment on the off-highway side looks to be good. Last but not the least, we are having a huge involvement, there is a presence in the wind industry, where we support the wind industry with the gearboxes from our Coimbatore facility. That particular industry is doing extremely well because we are quite dependent on the exports, and thanks to that, we are seeing that we will be pretty close to the plan which we had for the year 2020. So that's the overall picture we have.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Suresh, for giving a good overview on your different various business segments. Now, Mr. Suresh, the automotive industry in India has been, I think China plays an important role when we talk about imports of auto components. In fact, they say almost 27 to 28% of the total imports of automobile components come from China. Now, with COVID hitting, there has been, I think, the supply chain disruptions have taken place. So how did you face also any supply chain disruptions? That's my first question. And the second part is, what steps are you taking to mitigate these supply chain disruptions for the future, Mr. Suresh?
Right question. If you go back to December, January timeframe, the moment COVID showed its presence in China, we know that almost all of us went through a difficult time when the supplies from China started impacting the business in India. Not only the tier 1 suppliers, even the OEMs faced the same. Come February, March, China got back to normalcy, and now we see that the business in China is really has already come back to normal, and our businesses in China, we are seeing that they will even meet the plan for 2020. So from that perspective, today the supplies from China is not a problem. However, there is one realization which has come in, that we cannot be over dependent on any region, be it China, be it India, be it Europe, be it US. So we need to be very careful, and I think that's the realization which will drive the businesses from now on. We need to be local for local. That mantra will gain more and more prominence in the days and the years to come. Now what we are seeing is, in spite of all that, in spite of all these global disturbances, we are able to manage these requirements because we have found the new ways of doing these things by ensuring that we work in different time zones and make sure that we are managing the supply chain in such a way that we have been trying to support the suppliers to ensure that they are able to give us material on time. However, the current situation is that we are facing disruptions because of the different lockdowns happening in the different parts of the country at different times. Because of which sometimes if there is a lockdown in Tamil Nadu and then the next week there is a lockdown in Pune, the third day we have a lockdown elsewhere. And in each of these lockdowns, the supply chain from that particular area starts getting disrupted. And that is one part of it. The second part is the migrant labor, which went back to their hometowns, have not really come back completely to the working locations, because of which the skill levels which were there pre-COVID has taken a beating. And today, most of our suppliers and we ourselves are retraining a new set of people to be capable of delivering the processes and the products. So the challenges are different. December, January, it was a different type of challenge. Now, February, March, different type of challenge. But as I told before, the mantra is going to be local for local. However, that actually puts a big question as to how can India take advantage of this situation. India still continues to be one of the best cost country sourcing locations for CF. How can we ensure that we will be able to support the global requirements without creating such disruptions is the challenge which we'll have to face. So yes, we are taking those steps immaterial to make sure that we are standing on our feet in different regions. So it will be, to my understanding, it will be a combination of local sources and sources from best cost countries, so that even in case of such disruptions happening, every entity will be able to manage with their local sources, at least to ensure that there are no stoppages of things.
Right. If I may ask, Mr. Suresh, what is the level of localization at ZF in India? Of course,
we always target anything above 85% for localization. And logically, whenever we start a new product line, when we industrialize a new product line, to start with, it will be at a very low level. And when we talk about low level, I'm talking about 50 to 60%. And within 3 years of industrialization, we target ourselves to get to 85% plus. But we also have certain lines which are 100% localized.
100%, right. And now with COVID and what you mentioned also, vocal for local. So I presume that here also there would be an endeavor to increase the localization aspect here also, so that these, again, we are talking about the supply chain risks here. Yeah.
So there are certain factors which we need to keep in mind. Sometimes we always see that importing from China is cheaper, thanks to the volume game and also to various other factors. However, our endeavor is to see that at least there is a local source available to ensure that we don't stop the line even in case of issue. So we may what we are looking at is the possibility of having a source which could be only a 10% to a 15% source, and 85% coming, or the majority coming from the low cost sources. But however, we will be completely risk free. So with a local source, so that tomorrow we don't get into a situation where we are not able to produce because of the want of a supply part.
Right. Mr. Suresh, you also mentioned, let's come back to the automotive and the commercial vehicle industry, the passenger vehicle and commercial vehicle industry. Now, COVID in a way has been a double whammy for this industry, because as you rightly mentioned, before COVID also, we saw a slowdown in the commercial vehicle industry. Even passenger vehicle sales had dropped before the COVID period. Now, with COVID coming in place or impacting the industry further, my question to you is, Mr. Suresh, how would the demand be created now, especially if you are looking at commercial vehicle industry? Because I think let's say the heavy commercial vehicles, now that would take certainly a little longer to come back on track. So what are the demand triggers actually, Mr. Suresh, what we can expect in the next 1 or 2 years for the commercial vehicle industry?
The lowest hanging fruit is the much talked about scrappage policy.
Right.
I think immediately that will create a lot of trigger, and we have been hearing about it that it will come into force pretty soon.
Okay.
I think that would be one of the biggest steps which can really help the industry grow. The second important aspect is to see how the sentiments of the consumer is. How can we improve the sentiments of the consumer? When the uncertainties related to employment or economy looms large, then every consumer will tend to hesitate to invest in a new vehicle unless there is a real demand, real pressure for him or her to invest.
Right.
So the steps which the government can take is to improve the sentiments of the consumer. This could be through by reducing the repo rate to ensure that the loans are available cheaper, the loans are available faster. I think one of the main reasons of the drop in 2019 was also the liquidity crunch which was experienced in the market. If we can take those steps, which I see that the government is taking, with those steps, what will happen is the sentiments will become positive. Once the sentiments becomes positive and people start buying, what happens is then the supply chain, then the dealer starts ordering on the OEMs, and then the whole industry starts moving. So it is a chicken and egg story.
Right.
The demand has to start for the employment to come in. The employment has to come in for the consumer to have positive sentiments. But somewhere, if the trigger happens from the government side to improve the sentiments and increase the liquidity in the market, then I'm sure that we will be able to bounce back pretty fast, and probably even in 2022, 21, second half of 2021, we could see a real growth coming back, the growth of the pre-COVID times coming back, if all these actions are being taken.
Yeah. Right. Mr. Suresh, you mentioned about the scrappage policy. Now, I think my discussion with various industry leaders, there is a lot of expectation from the scrappage policy. But if we are realistic, Mr. Suresh, do you feel in this present scenario where already cash is crunch and the sentiments are pretty down, the economic sentiments are down, can the government afford at this stage to come up with this scrappage policy? Because that would put further pressure on the small players who are perhaps having one or two trucks or vehicles. It would put more pressure on them. So realistically seen, do we foresee that within this year or in this financial year, the scrappage policy could come, Mr. Suresh?
Fully agree with you, Rajesh. It is critical that we need to relook at the conditions laid out in the scrappage policy. When I talk to the industry captains, it has always been mentioned that the scrappage policy cannot stand on its own. It has to be something which is with this incentive based,
Right.
which help or motivate the consumer or the person who has one or two vehicles to buy another set of vehicles. Again, I would only say that we are in a new normal, and in this new normal, what is important is what worked or what we thought will work pre-COVID need not work in post-COVID scenarios. So it's very important that we will have to come out with innovative methods to ensure that the scrappage policy doesn't become a demotivator or creates more issues in the economy. Having said so, I think why I'm saying that this is important is because not only from the industry demand perspective, it is also from a safety angle that the scrappage policy is a very important reform which the country needs today. So I would only say that I agree with you that the scrappage policy in its probably earlier avatar may not be implementable or may create a few more issues in the Indian economy. However, if the captains can sit together and there is a dialogue between the government and the industry to see as to what changes need to be done in the policy to make it effective during the current times. I'm sure that we should come out with a policy which is user friendly, consumer friendly, as well as industry friendly in the months to come.
Right. And Mr. Suresh, do you see the demand also coming from like the e-commerce now? I think that is one segment which is doing well in comparison to most of the other segments. So would that give also a boost to the commercial, maybe to the lighter commercial vehicles?
Yeah, definitely, yes. You see, today you can very clearly see that the digital processes for purchasing would have increased many times. Not in percentages. I'm sure it would have increased many times. And now we are not talking about just normal day-to-day items. We are even talking about furniture being bought on the e-commerce platforms. And if we are buying furniture, you know for sure that there has to be somebody who is doing the last mile delivery from the stores to the household. And with the increase in with the increase in e-commerce, you can very, very clearly see that the commercial vehicles less than 6 tons will have a huge increase in demand, because while the bigger tonnage vehicles will take the materials from the factory to the godowns, the smaller vehicles will be the critical resource which will help all these vendors to deliver from the godowns to the different consumers. So I strongly believe that this move from a cash purchase or a dealership physical purchase to e-commerce will help the light commercial vehicles in a big way.
Right. Thank you. Mr. Suresh, also the acquisition of WABCO by ZF was completed in May 2020. Now, due to COVID and the negative impact on business, how do you foresee the development or integration of this acquisition in this period of crisis, Mr. Suresh?
We see it very differently. We don't see that the COVID will have an impact as far as the integration is concerned. It has been a strategic takeover, which has this WABCO acquisition has helped us to become a full system supplier on the commercial vehicle side at the global level, as well as and more so at the India level, because WABCO has a great presence in India. And they have been in the industry for a longer period of time. We feel that the integration will help both ZF and WABCO to become a single source supplier to most of the OEMs, and we'll be able to give full system solutions to the customer. So from that perspective, we do not see COVID as something which is impacting this takeover and will have an impact on this takeover. However, there will be certain operational issues which we need to address because of the COVID-related situations, but that will be minor in nature, and we will be able to tide through that without a problem.
Okay, so that's encouraging to hear from you that the process of integration, what has started, would continue, and they would, as per your planned schedules then. Right. Right. Coming to the last question, Mr. Suresh, these are difficult times, challenging times. We are all in the same storm, but in different boats. So the crisis also calls on leaders to sail their boats in the stormy water. So, Mr. Suresh, we would like to have 2 or 3 tips from you for our CEOs of the German companies. What would be your suggestion? How can one guide their individual boats in this difficult period of COVID? What would be your 2 or 3 suggestions for the companies, Mr. Suresh?
As always, the mantra is safety first. When I talk about safety, it becomes safety and health. So we need to be learning from each other regarding the preventive measures which organizations are taking. As I said before, this is the first time we are facing such a pandemic, and what is important for us is that every situation we learn from every situation. Now today ZF may be facing a particular situation based on which we will take some measures. Another organization may not face that situation in the next 2 weeks. However, it is very, very important that we learn from each other and we pass on the information regarding a particular situation which we faced and the actions taken, so that the other organization doesn't have to reinvent the wheel. So all preventive measures, learning from each other on the safety and health aspects, critical, number one.
Right.
The second aspect is the new normal talks about working from home, working in isolation. Working from home gives a positive impact because now we are talking about we don't have to go to the factory, we don't have to travel, all those positive sides. But the aspect which is related to that is we are working in isolation. What is that isolation is, you are alone, you don't know what is happening in the industry, you don't know what is happening in the office. Very, very important that we need to keep communicating. So the critical aspect here is, and the mantra where what I say is communicate, communicate, and communicate. You need to tell your employees what you are doing, why you are doing, how you are doing, and when you are doing, so that there is absolute transparency. And what my experience in the last 5 months has been that our employees have been more than willing to accept the tough decisions which we took during the last 4-5 months, and they said these are the decisions which is considered as the need of the hour. And they also appreciate the transparency the moment they see that they are being taken into confidence with the numbers, with the outlook, etc. So very, very important for us to communicate, communicate, and communicate. Last but not the least, when you are in an office surroundings, what happens is you meet quite a lot of people. There are some corridor discussions, and you get to know how each initiative is moving forward or not moving forward. And there are more and more opportunities to talk among ourselves to ensure, and then the feedback sessions are also a combination of formal and informal discussions. Today, the informal discussions have more or less completely got eliminated. So you need to be a lot more task-oriented management. You need to have a lot more task-oriented management. There has to be quite a lot of formal communications to understand as to how each initiative is going, and also based on the communications, it has to be clearly mentioned that we need initiatives in these aspects. So I would say that it is task-oriented management which is taking more and more prominence today, which will help that the leaders are able to know how each initiative is moving, is there progress, is there intervention needed, etc. So in short, safety, communication, and task-oriented management would be the 3 mantras which I talk about.
Right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Suresh, for sharing your thoughts on this. I think these are very valuable suggestions that you have given, which will help other industry leaders also. Pleasure speaking to you, Mr. Suresh, and thank you for joining us for this edition of the VDMA CEO's Thought Leadership Series. On behalf of the German Engineering Federation, VDMA, wishing you further success as you go into the next phase of your activities, and hopefully I think the next 2 or 3 months we expect would be crucial for the Indian economy. With the festive season coming up, I think people are hoping that the economy takes a boost, and also the automotive sales should hopefully increase in the next couple of months. So wishing you all the best, and thanks for all your support, Mr. Suresh. Stay well, stay safe, and all the best to you and the team, Mr. Suresh.
Thank you, Rajesh. It was a pleasure talking to you. I would only encourage everybody to take actions related to safety, be safe, not only in the office premises, but also outside. and which can help us prevent the spread of this virus, which will help us in the long run to come out of the situation. So thanks a lot, Rajesh, for this opportunity as well.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Suresh. Thank you so much. Right.
Bye.